Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Let's talk travel tips when you have chronic pain. My number one travel tip is that comfort takes priority over everything. And this really applies to every single thing with traveling, as far as planning and packing. And while you're actually on your trip, if you have comfort in mind, you're going to be so much happier. Prior to having chronic pain, my whole goal with traveling was to do as much as possible while spending the least amount of money. I think that's how a lot of people travel, but when you have chronic pain, again, comfort comes before a budget, unfortunately. So what does it mean to put comfort first when you travel? First, when you travel and you're packing, you need to take everything that you would use in a week or in a day or however long you're going to be gone. You need to take everything that you would use if you were to have a chronic pain flare-up. So for me, that means that I'm willing to pack around my super heavy corn bag because I put it on my face, it helps my migraines. I also pack around my ice pack. For sure, I always have my sunglasses with me. I have to have those, as well as my regular glasses, my prescription medications, my earplugs, and my pillow. So if I'm taking a flight, I have to plan ahead. I have to know that my baggage is probably going to be heavier than a normal person's baggage. I actually used to travel super light before I got chronic migraines, and now I definitely have to bring those things from home that provide me comfort when I have a chronic pain flare-up, because more than likely I will have some kind of chronic pain flare-up while I'm traveling. The way that comfort comes before everything else is when I travel, I plan on spending money on food and on beverages that I know are overpriced. So for example, when I traveled before I had chronic pain, I would have never considered purchasing the airline food, the overpriced snacks, the overpriced drinks, the medicine or the candy. Even at the airport, it's all super overpriced, and I know that. But I found that if I do not purchase some on-flight beverages or snacks, usually I have like a Coke, and that really helps me with my motion sickness, as well as just the discomfort of flying. For a domestic flight, it's usually about $15 just to take care of that. And again, I know it's overpriced. I know if I was going to my grocery store at home, it would be like a quarter of the cost, but it is worth the $15. So when we were flying to Belgium, it was about a 12-hour flight, and usually I take Dramamine for motion sickness. I did not have that on me, so I ended up buying a ginger natural Dramamine at the airport, which was a terrible idea. I was so nauseous. I barely made it off the plane like without throwing up, but I was so dizzy. I had such a bad migraine that I missed all of Brussels. We were in Belgium just for one day, and the next day we were going to take the train into Paris, and I missed all of Brussels. And I'm still so bummed about that. But all of that was because I was not prepared to fly. I did not have the medicine I needed for the motion sickness, and I did not actually purchase food on the flight. I had complimentary meals that they give and the complimentary drinks, but I could have been so much more prepared. So since that time, I have made it a priority to always pay for the food, even if it's expensive, because I do not want to miss out of 1 or 2 or 3 days of an awesome trip that I've paid for that ends up costing more money. Once you finally reach your destination, it's important to put comfort first by allowing yourself some time to rest. And I still wish I could see everything and do everything and like cram as much in a trip as I possibly can, but that is physically not possible for me. I plan that the day I get to wherever I'm going, I'm probably gonna feel sick because I get really motion sick, and the like barometric pressure changes of flying or even just like driving to a different climate, that always is really hard on me. and just the environmental changes and just a change in my schedule really throws me off, and I almost can guarantee that I will have a migraine. So I make sure to plan within the first 24 hours to have a very low-key schedule. I plan rest time. I also plan only 2 things a day when I am traveling, which seems like so little. That's not including restaurants, but like 2 experiences that are nearby that I know for sure we can get to just within a few hours. That means if I have to sleep in that morning, we can still hit those 2 things in the afternoon, regardless of me not feeling great in the morning. Usually I feel horrible in the morning if I do feel horrible. So that was something I did in Paris, is thankfully I did plan to have these chronic migraines, and that was a part of my plan. We saw so many cool things in Paris. It was totally life-changing. It was a trip I'd wanted to go on since I was a little kid. I studied art history in college as well as some French, and this was like my dream. And so I knew going in that my expectations needed to be lowered. I knew that this trip was going to be life-changing and it was going to be spectacular, but I still had to accept the fact that I have chronic migraines. And going into Paris, and if I had made all the plans, you know, pre-chronic pain, just like going for it, if I had planned my trip that way, I would have been so disappointed. And so really, in planning your actual trip, and once you actually get to that location, it's so important to keep your comfort in mind, to know and be realistic that traveling is hard on our bodies. It's hard on people's bodies who don't have chronic pain, but when you've got additional sensitivities and additional pain to deal with, it is so important to be gentle with your body. Once you get home from a trip, it's really important to be okay that you're not going to get everything unpacked. You're not going to get the house back to normal right away. A couple days ago, my daughter and I got back from a girls' trip, and my husband and son had stayed home. My husband is usually so great about keeping the house up while I'm gone, but he and my son got sick. And so I came home to a house that had been lived in and hadn't been really cleaned because my husband had been sick and caring for a sick baby, and I came home to a really big mess. And again, traveling is really hard on me, and so I had to be realistic about what I was going to be able to do. This is what I did the day after I came home, along with a couple loads of laundry, and you'll notice that I don't actually finish cleaning just the main area of my house. There are still toys, there are still things on my kitchen table. I didn't even get to unpack our suitcase all the way, and that's okay. I did the things that would set me up the next day for success, meaning that my son's high chair was cleaned off so that we could have breakfast when he woke up. The dishes were done and clothes were being taken care of. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I would love to know any travel tips you have on top of what I've shared today. No one's told you today you are valuable, you are important, you have worth, regardless of how productive you've been today, and you are enough. You're enough for your loved ones, you're enough for your friends, and you are enough for yourself. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.